Hello everyone and welcome to this new video tutorial brought to you by Aroha Media. In this video, we will learn how to create simulation in Flash. Such Flash video simulations are mainly created for e-learning. In this, we will imitate the behavior of a program especially for the purpose of training. So let's find out what exactly this means. We are provided with some of the screenshots of which we are supposed to create a simulation. This is that folder with total 45 screenshot images. These are the screenshots of an already created program. One by one, check them all if they are in sequence or not. All are fine and in sequence. So, coming back to Flash, click to get a new Flash file. Here in Document Properties, we see the default dimensions of 720 by 576 pixels with 25 frame rate. But, especially for this file, we will modify the dimensions to 850 by 600 pixels. Click OK. Go to File menu, Save, and save the file as Simulation at your desired path. Name the default layer as Images. Create one more layer and name it Mask. We need one more layer below the mask layer as Arrow, on which a Flash cursor arrow will get animated using Motion Tween as per the interactivity in the presentation. Now, go to Insert, New Symbol to create a new symbol for the images we need to import. Select the behavior type as Graphic and name it as Images. Flash directly displays the Images symbol stage. Name this layer also as Images. Select the blank keyframe and go to File menu, Import, Import to Stage. Open the folder path where we have saved our 45 screenshots. As all their names are in the same sequence, we need to just select the first image and click Open. Here comes a question panel asking, this file appears to be part of a sequence of images. Do you want to import all of the images in the sequence? As we need all 45 images to be imported, we select Yes. Here you will notice that one after one all 45 frames are filled with 45 image keyframes. Exit to main scene. Here we won't see any of the images as the images symbol is directly saved into the library. To get them on the stage, press Ctrl+L to open the library. We see a lot of images in the library openly placed. So, to organize the library properly, create a folder inside it and name it Graphic. Add one more folder and name it Images. But this Images name is already provided to the graphic symbol present inside library. So, Flash suggests us use a different name for this folder. We rename it as Screenshots. Now, grab all 45 image files in the library and drop them inside the screenshots folder as seen in the video. Then select the images symbol and shift inside graphic folder. Now, on this images blank keyframe, drag the images graphic symbol on stage. Close the library and press Ctrl+K for the Align panel. Select the image on stage and get it center aligned using this Align panel. When we put the images layer in outline mode, we see the image size is bigger than the original document size. From the Properties panel, change this graphic symbol's behavior from loop to single frame. We will use this mask layer now. Also put this mask layer on outline mode and pick any desired color for the mask. Take a rectangle tool and draw a stage-sized rectangle. Remove the mask rectangle outline and from the Properties panel, resize the rectangle to the exact stage size, that is 850 by 600 pixels. Select this rectangle again and get this also center aligned from the Align panel to fit exactly on the stage area. Now, right-click on this mask layer and select Mask to view the images that are exactly the size of the mask. Drag this images layer into Mask. To preview the mask area, we have to lock all the layers under the mask effect. So, this is the total area we can view in the output. Unlock the images layer and extend it to 30 frames. Shift this image to join the left bottom corners of the image and mask. Above the image layer, add a new layer. Rename the images layer as image_01 and the new layer as image_02. Now, hold the Alt key and duplicate the layer image_01 frame on image_02 at frame number 25. And on the 25th frame, create a blank keyframe on the first layer. Select the second layer frame and go to the Properties panel. It's already in single frame type, so just change its numbering to 2 to display the second screenshot of that symbol on this layer. Add some frames in the timeline. On screen, you can observe a small change in the two images. We need to animate this in such a way that it displays on screen in real time. So, insert a keyframe at frame 40 and apply motion tween between the keyframes. On the first key of the second image, assign 0 alpha value. Now that text feels like it is appearing on stage. We have started arranging the images. At the same time, we would need the arrow actions on the stage. Open the library. Here you see we have kept ready some of the cursor's graphic symbols in the library. Arrow, click, cursor and highlight are different states of the cursor. Those are together placed in one single graphic symbol named as arrow. Frame by frame we can find them here. Double-click on this state of the cursor and see. It's a click symbol. An animation is done here which can be used where the cursor is clicked on the stage. Next are some of those states of the cursor which are used in the program that we are going to demonstrate. Come back to the main scene. Drag this arrow graphic symbol on the stage on the arrow layer. Extend the arrow layer and modify its behavior to single frame in the Properties panel. We can modify its number as per different cursor needs on stage. Select the cursor and get it also center aligned to the stage. Now, we will show the cursor appearing on the stage. Insert a keyframe at frame 10 and create motion tween between the first two keys of the arrow layer. Select the arrow on the first key and assign 0 alpha value to it. The arrow is now appearing on stage. Next, insert one more keyframe at frame 20 and then at frame 31. Right-click and create motion tween between these keys. Shift the arrow of the 31st frame to the start label of the image. Create one more keyframe at 33 and from the Properties panel, change its numbering to 2. We are creating a scene just like how Windows is actually operated and cursor changes take place on its every different action. Here, as the cursor reaches the start label, it changes to hand cursor and image change takes place. Add a new layer in the timeline and name it as arrow_02. Drag and duplicate the earlier arrow frame on a new arrow_02 layer on the 40th frame number. At the same 40th frame, create a blank keyframe on the earlier arrow layer. Adjust the frame durations. On this new arrow keyframe, change its frame numbering to 3. We want to show an animated cursor of the click symbol. Zoom in towards it and have a look. From the first, a normal cursor comes towards the start label. Then, it changes to a hand cursor. At the same time, the image change takes place smoothly. Then we want the cursor to click on it so the cursor graphic is changed. Create a duplicate of the previous arrow frame on 58th position on the same layer. And insert a blank keyframe at the same position of the arrow_02 layer. Extend some of the frames. Insert one more blank keyframe at the same 58th position on the image_02 layer. And drag the duplicate of the image_02 last frame on the first image layer on the 58th place. In short, along with the cursor change, the image change will also take place. Instead of adding different layers for each image change and cursor change, we are playing in just 2 layers for each image and arrow action. Different layers would have created a lot of chaos in the animation. So, to coordinate with them properly, we will alternatively place the image and arrow change in their first and second layers. This method will cut down all the confusion which would have created because of number of layers in the timeline. Moving ahead, in sequence, now we need to display the third image on the stage. So, on a new keyframe, change the frame numbering from 2 to 3. On click, the All Programs panel is opened. Press Ctrl plus Enter to view the animation done till now. It seems fast, so let's extend the duration. Once the All Programs panel is displayed, the cursor should come to its normal position. So, at the last keyframe, change the arrow frame number to 1. Preview the animation again. Insert the keyframes on the 99th and 115th position of the arrow layer. On the 115th frame, shift the arrow on All Programs text area. Insert a new keyframe at frame 117 and here change the cursor numbering to 2. It shows a hand cursor. On the image_01 layer, create a blank frame at 117. And last frame of that layer is copied and dragged on 117 position of image_02 layer. Here, change its numbering to 4. This fourth image displays and shows that the All Programs text area is selected with a blue patch on it. Play and see. Right-click and create motion tween between the 99th and 115th frames for smooth motion of the cursor. Reduce the frame duration for fast motion. Press F7 and insert a blank keyframe on frame 127. Now, drag the duplicate of the keyframe at the 74th position of the arrow underscore 02 layer on the 127th position of same layer. Keep extending the frames wherever needed. Create a blank keyframe at frame 137 and on the arrow layer, hold the Alt key to duplicate the 126th last frame to place on frame 137. Similarly, create a blank frame at frame 137 for the image underscore 02 layer and place its last frame duplicate on frame 137 of the image underscore 01 layer. Remember, we are working in only 2 layers of each arrow and image to reduce the confusion in the timeline. Here, change the image numbering to 5 to display the 5th screenshot. This opens the panel under the All Programs options in Windows. Zoom in towards it to view it clearly. We are shifting the cursor at better positions at some keys as seen in the video. Drag and replace this keyframe on the 127th frame. Change its numbering to 3. Some things can be corrected only when viewed key by key. Duplicate the hand cursor on frame 137 and change the numbering to 1 for the arrow. Now it looks fine. Press Ctrl plus S to save your file and then press Ctrl plus Enter to preview the file after changes. This is created to show how a program runs in real time. Close this and let's move ahead with animation. Come to the very first frames of the image underscore 01. Insert a keyframe at frame number 10 and create motion tween between first 2 keys. On the first frame, shift the image partly below the mask's bottom line. So, from the first frame, the taskbar gets animated and enters the screen. We have reached the point where the cursor clicks on the All Programs area. Now, extend the frames and create a blank keyframe at frame 168 of the image underscore 01 layer. Then, duplicate the previous layer and place it on the image underscore 02 layer at the same 168th frame. On this frame, change the frame numbering to 6 to view the 6th screenshot. It shows that an additional panel is displayed. Observe neatly that part of this panel slightly goes out of the mask area. We need to adjust it from the previous image frame itself. So, on the previous image frames, insert keyframes at 147 and 158. Right-click and create motion tween between those keys. On this 158th frame, shift the image a little down as seen in the video. Duplicate this frame and place it again on the 168th frame to match up with the new position. Change its frame numbering to 6. Now, the image gets scrolled down and the additional panel of the 6th screenshot gets properly seen on the stage. Extend the frames and add time duration in the motion tween as well. On frame 206, create a blank keyframe and using the same method, duplicate the earlier frame and place on frame 206 of the alternate image layer. Now we will first set all the images on stage. Later, we will animate the cursor according to the image sequence requirements. Here, change the frame numbering from this image to 7 and the 7th screenshot gets displayed. Extended the frames some more and a blank keyframe is inserted on 221. A copy of the previous image frame is placed on the image_02 layer. On this, change its numbering to 8. This screenshot shows that the program is initiating to open, but as per our stage size, it got placed at the right top corner. We need to slide it towards the center. So, create new keyframes at 231 and 237. Right-click to create motion tween between those keys. On this 237th frame, shift the image to set this program panel approximately at the center of the stage. Extend the time duration if you feel it's too fast. It's done. Press F7 to insert a blank keyframe at frame 259. Drag the previous frame on alternate layers of the 259th frame. Change the numbering from Properties panel to 9. We are speeding up as we are getting used to the process. But remember, for now, we are first placing all the images. Later, we have to work on the arrow layers too. Extend the frames and insert a blank keyframe at frame 282. Copy the 281st frame and place it on the alternate layers same 282nd position. Properties panel is all time open. Change this frame numbering to 10. Every time we change the single frame numbering, Flash displays its relative screenshot saved inside the images symbol. We don't want any of these images to get pixelated in the output. To take care about it, open the library and then the screenshots folder in which all the image files are located. Double-click on the bitmap image icon or right-click on the image and select Properties. We get a bitmap properties dialog box. We will make some changes here. Check Allow Smoothing option. Smoothing improves quality of the image when scaled. It doesn't get pixelated or disturbed. In the compression options, choose Lossless PNG or GIF. In this, no data of the image is discarded. Lossless compression is used for the images with simple shapes and relatively few colors. All 45 image properties will be modified with these quality settings. Allow smoothing should be checked and compression should be lossless PNG or GIF. When images are done with the changes, close the library. Move to the timeline and extend the frames. On this frame, the program is completely opened, but some of the writing part is going out of the screen. To manage it, insert the keyframes at frame 289 and 298. Right-click and create motion tween between those keys. On this 298th frame, shift the image to match the left top corner of the program window to left corner of the stage area or say mask rectangle. While playing, we can see that the image positions are displaced as per their working areas. Adjust the frame duration and create a new keyframe at frame 336. Drag this key on the layer below and create a blank keyframe on the current layer at same frame 336. Here, we need the 11th screenshot to be displayed. So, change the frame numbering to 11. This is fine. No changes needed in the image size or placement. So go ahead and press F7 at frame 366 of the image_01 layer and drag the previous frame on the above layer's 366th frame. Once the image position is set on the next key, the next image is placed on the same position by default till we move it. Modify this image numbering to 12. On this image file, we see something typed in a box area. Press Ctrl plus Enter to export an SWF. This is how our work looks so far. At the end, it is typed project_001. We have this screenshot in which this text is already typed. But later, we will see how to show it being typed in that program. Total 12 screenshots are set on the stage area. Now before moving ahead with the 13th screenshot, we will animate the cursor graphics on the arrow and arrow_02 layers. Place and check it carefully from where we have to start with the cursor action. We are on the arrow layer. Insert two new keyframes at frames 166 and 177. Extend the frame duration and create motion tween between these new keys. On this new second key, shift the cursor's position to Microsoft Office text. Insert new keyframe at 195 and change its numbering to 2 to get a hand here. We have to set the cursor actions according to image sequence. Remember, for the cursor actions also, we will be playing in just two layers alternately, arrow and arrow_02. Now, insert a blank keyframe at 200 and drag the previous frame on the 200th frame of the arrow_02 layer. Here, change the cursor numbering to 3 to show a click animation. The 199th frame was already copied on the same layer's 210th frame. Change its numbering to 1 to get an arrow graphic. Extend those frames and insert keyframes at 219 and 229. Right-click and create motion tween in the mid of those keys. Insert an additional keyframe at frame 233. On this last key, shift the cursor to the text area which seems selected in the next image file. And at this frame, change the cursor numbering to 2. Insert a blank keyframe at frame 239 where the image frames also aim for the screenshot. Drag the preceding cursor frame and place it on frame 239 of the arrow_02 layer. The next screenshot shows that the particular text area is detected with a blue patch. So, we need the cursor graphic number 3 here. It's an animated cursor, which proves it's clicking on that text area. After a click is done, it will display a normal arrow. So, on the 249th frame, change the cursor numbering to 1. As it has been clicked, that program initializing panel should display the very next frame. So, reduce the frame duration here. When the program is opening up, there won't be any cursor movement. So, move ahead in the timeline and directly insert keyframes at frame 346 and 368 of arrow layer. Right-click and create motion tween here. Depending on the image, we understand exactly which action arrow should play. On this 368th frame, the cursor will move towards the selected box area. On this last key, change the cursor numbering to 6. Zoom in towards the new cursor and we can see exactly which graphic takes place. Change the cursor graphics as per the captured program requirements. Let's continue further. At the 398th image, change takes place in which there is type text in the boxed area. At the same 398th frame, create a keyframe on the arrow layer and vary its numbering to 5. This is a different cursor used for typing text. As said earlier, now we'll see how to show an already typed text being typed. Shift this keyframe to an earlier frame and insert a new keyframe at frame 401 as seen in the video. For this key, change the cursor numbering to 4. It's also a typing cursor, but used when typing is in process. We have to remember the sequence of the cursor graphics placed inside the arrow graphic symbol. Zoom in to work it out properly. Shift this cursor at the left side of the text box from where the actual typing will start. Assign motion tween between these keys. Add a new layer above the image_02 layer. Name this new layer Patch. Create a keyframe exactly above the key of that screenshot, that is, frame 404. Without outline, take a white rectangular patch and draw it above the text part as seen in the video. Use the subselection tool and edit the nodes to create a proper patch area above the text only. Now, we will display the text letters key by key along with the cursor movement. Insert a keyframe at frame 407. Using the subselection tool, move the left 2 nodes towards the right to display the letter P. Insert a keyframe on the alternate frame and shift the same 2 nodes of the patch to view the letter R. Insert the next keyframe on the alternate frame and again edit the patch on this key to view the next letter O. Press F6 for the next keyframe and display the letter Z. With the same process, we will insert keyframes for all number of letters in the text and edit the patch on each key till it completely displays the project_001 text. Now, drag the time frame. It feels like the text is being typed on screen in that program. The text part is done, but the cursor will also move when each letter is typed. So on the arrow layer, create the keyframes at the same positions and shift the cursor ahead of each letter typed. Once done, play the animation and see the effect. Using the keyframes, we got the perfect typing effect. Rename this patch layer to patch_01 and add a new layer above it as patch_02. For here, copy the same patch_01 first keyframe on the same frame 404. When we scroll the stage area, in front of FX, we see the same project_001 text being typed at the same time when we are typing the text below in the box. So, we'll have to create the same patch effect here as well. Place this patch_02 white rectangle above that new text. At the same key positions, insert the keyframes for this new patch and create the same effect using the subselection tool's nodes. Both the text should look like it is being typed at the same time. On each key, the succeeding letter should be made visible. On the last key, the patch is completely shifted to the right side as seen in the video. Now when played, we notice that both the text are being typed at the same time. Play this all from the very first frame of the timeline. Adjust the frame duration wherever needed. Press Ctrl plus Enter to preview this in SWF. This shows an interactive simulation video in which a computer program working is presented. It is like creating a demo version of a program in Flash. Now let's place the next screenshot on the stage. This new image will be on an alternate layer, image_01. So, insert a blank keyframe at the end of the previous layer, that is, on frame 500, and drag the last image frame number 499 on the 500th position of layer below. To display the next screenshot, change its numbering to 13 in the Properties panel. In this image, we see one more text project_002 added in the box area. That means we need to show this text getting typed on the screen. So we'll have to repeat the same process we did for the previous text to appear. Duplicate the first keyframe of patch_01 and place it on the 500th frame of the same layer. Zoom into the screen towards the text area. On this new keyframe, shift this new white rectangular patch above the project_002 text. Insert blank keyframes at the end of the previous text animation patch areas, that is, on the 490th frame. Duplicate patch_02 layer's first frame and get it on the 500th frame of the same layer. We are using the same layers for second text typing effect. Get the duplicate of the cursor frame too. Shift the typing cursor at the beginning of second text box. Now, key by key, we will repeat the same process. For both patch layers, insert keyframes at frame 505. Lock the image layer to not get affected while working on the patch. Pick the subselection tool. On second keyframes, move two left-sided nodes of the patch to display only the P letter as seen in the video. At the same time, insert a keyframe for the arrow layer as well and shift the current cursor ahead of the P letter. We will keep adding keys on alternate frames for all three layers and edit the patch and the cursor position till it displays the complete project_002 text. This text at both places should get typed at the same time. To display the last letter of the text at both places, we can even remove the keyframe of the patch layers as its role ends up there. We can directly press F7 and insert the blank keyframes here. Even for the previous project_001 text, insert the blank frames on the last keys. Play and see how the second text is also seen being typed as in original program. So, this is done. Now, extend the frames at the end to place the next image on the image layer. Insert a blank keyframe on frame 527 of the current layer. Drag the preceding frame on the alternate image layer's 527th frame. Select the image on that frame and change its numbering to 14 to get the 14th screenshot on stage. Nothing different, but we see the third box filled with the third text. In short, we are supposed to repeat the same previous process for this third project_003 text to view it being typed. Duplicate the first key of patch_01 and place it on the 527th frame of the same layer. Shift this frame's patch area over the project_003 text. Now, copy all the keyframes of patch_02 layer for the second text and place them from the 527th frame number. So, we will have to edit just the patch_01 layer frames. Lock both the image layers to not get affected. Start inserting the keys at the same interval on this patch layer. The same process is used for this text as well. For the last letter, insert a blank keyframe. This also looks like it is being typed. The upper text patch is properly getting animated. Now, the cursor placement remains. Insert keyframes at the same intervals for this too. On this frame, shift the cursor to left end of the box. Then, keep shifting it key by key, letter-wise, as seen in the video. Thus, this text is also done with the same process. Let's see all three texts together. All three texts seem like being typed in real time. Now, it's time to get the next screenshot on the stage. Press F7 on the 549th frame of the image_02 layer. Duplicate the previous frame and place it exactly below this blank keyframe. Open Properties panel and change image numbering to 15. We can see the change in the image. 25,000 text appeared on stage exactly in front of the project_001 text box. That means again we'll have to create this text typing effect for the 25,000 text. But additional animation will be needed for the cursor. On the arrow layer, press F6 at the 551st frame and on this frame, vary the cursor numbering to 5. Now this cursor will move towards the new text box. Insert a keyframe at frame 557 and create motion tween between those keys. On this last key, shift this cursor towards the new text box start point. Shift the keys of the images to begin at the same time when the cursor reaches the new position. On the arrow layer, insert a new keyframe just next to the last key. On this frame, change the cursor's numbering to 4 to again get the same typing cursor graphics. Now, to show the same typing effect, we will repeat the same procedure for this new text. Copy the patch on a new key and place it exactly above the 25,000 text. Create one more white rectangular patch for the patch _02 layer. And place it above the 25,000 text in front of FX. As done earlier, start creating keyframes on the arrow patch _01 and patch _02 layers at same positions. Lock the image layers and start editing nodes key by key using Subselection tool. Also shift the cursor ahead of every digit getting typed. For the last keys, remove both the remaining patch areas. So, 25,000 is also getting typed here. Time to add the next image on the image _02 layer. So, duplicate the previous image frame on this layer at the 581st frame. At same position, press F7 to create a blank keyframe on the image _01 layer. Extend the frames and change the image numbering to 16. Again, new text appears on screen, which is 23,800. Now, copy all the keyframes of the previous text on the patch _02 layer and place it on the new positions of the new image. This trick will not make us work on that area for new text. Automatically, the text 23,800 is getting typed on the patch _02 layer by reusing of the proper keys. Copy the patch keyframe for the patch _01 layer and place this patch above the new text. Even create a new keyframe for the cursor and shift it at the start of the new text box. As per the patch _02 keyframes, insert keyframes for the arrow and patch _01 at the same intervals. Frame by frame, we will create the text typing effect here as well. Once we understand the technique, we can speed up in our work. and it's done. For the next screenshot, drag the previous image frame from the image_02 layer and place it on the 600th frame of the image_01 layer. Right here, create a blank keyframe on the image_02 layer. On this new image keyframe, change its numbering to 17. And the next third amount appears exactly in front of the project_003 text area. You must have understood till now that again we have to repeat the same procedure for the arrow and patch layers to get the same typing effect for this new amount as well. And it's done too. Let's view all the text keyframes together. All the texts and amounts are seen being typed correctly at both the places. Now let's work as per the next image. Extend some frames and insert a keyframe on the arrow_01 layer. On this frame, change the cursor numbering to 5. While moving from one place to another, different typing cursor takes place in this program. Add another keyframe at frame 639 and on this key, shift the cursor position on the box below the project_003 text. Right-click to create motion tween between those keys. The cursor is smoothly moving to its next position. At frame 645, add another keyframe and also change its numbering to 4. The cursor again changes its state to typing mode. On the same frame number, create a blank keyframe on the image_01 layer. Get the earlier frame copied and placed on the same 646th frame number of the alternate image layer. On this frame, modify the image's numbering to 18 and the 18th screenshot appears on stage. Here, we get a new total text. That means this text should be treated with the same procedure we did with the earlier text. So, get the patch copied on this text to cover it all for its first key of the patch_01 layer. Get a patch for patch_02 layer too. Now, key by key, start editing all 3 layers to get the typing effect. So, total text is also getting typed effect. Now, let's get the next screenshot to display. Press F6 on 669th frame on current image layer and drag it on image_01 layer below it. Press F7 on same frame number of image_02 layer. As said earlier, we are using just 2 layers for images and placing every next screenshot frames on alternate layers. On this frame, modify the image numbering to 19 from Properties panel. Even if we change the screenshot, we won't see any changes in the image in this part. So, scroll the image and find the change. In Programs Properties panel, letter B is getting clicked. So, let's start according to it. Extend the frames and insert a new keyframe at frame 666 of the arrow_01 layer. On this key, modify the cursor number to 1 to get a normal arrow cursor. Add one more key at frame 667 and create motion tween between these keys. On the last key, displace the cursor above the B letter. Insert a new key at frame 683 on the arrow layer and change the cursor numbering to 2 to get the hand graphic. As the cursor reaches B, it changes to the hand cursor and at the same time B gets selected. Insert new keyframes at frames 691 and 701. Remove the frames from here and get the previous frame copied on the above arrow_02 layer at 691st frame number. Press F7 on the 701st frame number. On this new frame of the cursor, change its numbering to 3. We get a click arrow symbol which is animated. On the 701st frame again, change the cursor numbering to 1. Which means, after the click, the cursor comes to its normal state. But after a click, the image change should also take place. So, come to the image layers and place the image frame on the alternate image_02 layer. Press F7 at the end of the previous image layer. On the image's new frame, change the numbering to 20 and the text total becomes bold. Let's check the animation for this total part. The cursor changes the position and then the hand graphic comes and clicks on B. We are adjusting the image change frames. Now, the total becomes bold at perfect timing. Now the next part. On the arrow_01 layer, insert keyframes at frames 737 and 748. On the 748th frame, shift the arrow position above the 25,000 amount. Right-click and create motion tween. Add a new key at frame 761 and change its numbering to 6. We get a new cursor here. At the same frame number, press F7 on the image layer and drag the preceding frame on the alternate image layer. Extend the frames. We slightly shifted the cursor position. On this new image frame, change the image numbering to 21. In this screenshot, the text 25,000 is seen selected. Now, again extend the frames and insert new keyframes at frame 771 and 785 of the arrow_01 layer. Create motion tween between these keys and on the last key, shift the cursor's position below the second amount on the screen. Press F7 on the image layer and drag its preceding image frame on the image_02 layer. On this new frame, change the image numbering to 22. And second amount, 23,800, also seems selected in the screenshot. That means our cursor position is absolutely correct. In the next screenshot, we can guess that the third amount is going to be seen selected. So let's do it. Insert keyframes on frames 808 and 820 of the arrow_01 layer. Insert motion tween here. And shift the cursor below the third amount. Adjust the frame durations as per our choice. Press F7 on the current image layer and duplicate the preceding frame on the alternate image layer exactly below the blank keyframe as seen in the video. On this frame, modify the image sequence number to 23. What we guessed was right. In the screenshot, all the three amounts are seen selected. Now, on the image layer, press F7 at the end of the layer. Then, press F6 to insert keyframes at frames 864 and 876. On the second keyframe, shift the image towards the left and create motion tween between these keys. Drag the frame of this new position of the image above the blank keyframe on the image_02 layer. On the arrow_01 layer, insert keyframes at frames 879 and 886. Create motion tween between those keys too and shift the cursor position over the auto sum sign in the above panel of the program. On this second key, change the cursor numbering to 1 to get the normal arrow graphic. Even on the tweened first key, change the cursor numbering and get the normal arrow graphic here too. Insert a keyframe at frame 901 and change the cursor numbering to 2 to get a hand cursor graphic. Also change the image numbering to 24 where the AutoSum sign gets detected. Insert 2 more keyframes and delete the middle frame from here. Now, drag the previous arrow frame, that is the 909th frame, on the 910th frame of the arrow_02 layer. On this frame, we need a clicking hand cursor, so change its numbering to 3. On the image_02 layer, press F7 for the blank keyframe and drag the preceding frame on the image_01 layer. On this new frame, vary the image's numbering to 25. This image shows a drop-down menu for the Auto Sum option. This drop-down menu includes Sum, Average, Count Numbers, Max, Min, and more functions. In front of the total text, we want the sum of all three amounts. So, we will create an action to select Sum from the drop-down list. Slightly adjust the cursor positions on the previous frames. Now, insert keyframes on the arrow layer at frame 928 and 938. Create motion tween between these keys and on the second key shift the cursor position above Sum option as seen in the video. Again we have to click on this Sum, so insert one more key, create one more keyframe at frame 943 and drag that key on the arrow_02 layer. At the same position, press F7 on the arrow_01 layer. Adjust the frame duration and press F7 at the 954th frame of the arrow_02 layer. On this arrow_02 frame, change the cursor numbering to 3. On Sum, we get a clicking hand cursor. After click cursor, change its numbering on next frames to 1 for the normal arrow cursor. The arrow part is done for this section. Create a blank keyframe on the arrow_01 layer and drag the preceding frame on the alternate image layer. On this frame, vary the image sequence numbering to 26 for the 26th screenshot. This shows the description panel of the sum option. Again, change the numbering of the cursor to 2. Observe how the image layers are being adjusted in the timeline. Create motion tween and give 0 alpha value to the previous image's last key. So, this description panel feels appearing on stage. We don't need this clicking hand arrow here, so remove it and extend the frames on the arrow_01 layer. Now, move to the image_02 layer and insert keyframes at 966, 982 and 974. On this middle 974th frame, shift the image towards left to view the description panel completely, which says display the sum of the selected cells directly after the selected cells. We can see the mask area outline to adjust the image placement properly. Insert one more key at frame 980 and extend the frames as seen in the video. Now, right-click and create motion tween between those keys. This shows that for some time duration, that description panel is completely visible to read the instructions on it. Now come to the arrow_01 layer and insert keyframes at frames 979 and 1003. In the middle frames, change the cursor numbering to 1. We will notice that while the image is moving on the screen, the cursor turns to its normal arrow graphic. Extend and adjust the frame durations wherever we need. Now, we need a clicking hand above the sum option. So, on the arrow_01 layer, insert a blank keyframe and drag the previous key on the above arrow_02 layer. On this frame, change the arrow numbering to 3. After a click on sum, again the normal hand cursor appears here for next frames. On the image_02 layer, press F7 for a blank keyframe on frame 1061. Drag the same layer's 1060 frame on the alternate image_01 layer. Here, change this image numbering to 27. On screen, we notice that one new amount appears in front of total text. This 86,300 amount is the sum of the above three amounts. Here, change the cursor numbering to 1 to get a normal arrow cursor. Extend the frames and create two new keyframes at 1074 and 1093. Right-click to apply motion tween between these keys. On the last arrow key, shift the arrow cursor above this new amount, 86,300. Once the cursor is inside the Excel sheet area, it changes its state. So, add one more keyframe on the arrow_01 layer and change the cursor numbering to 6. In parallel at the same frame position, press F7 on the current image layer and drag the preceding image frame on the alternate image layer. Change the image numbering on this frame to 28. In this screenshot, just the total amount is seen selected. We stretched some frames of image layers ahead. Now, press F6 and insert two new keyframes on the current image layer. On this second key, shift back the image position towards the right to join the masks and the Excel sheet's left border as seen in the video. Right-click between these keys to apply Motion Tween. Same as total text, total 86,300 amount will also be made bold. So, add 2 new keyframes on the arrow layer. Create Motion Tween between these keys, and on the second key, shift the cursor above the bold's B letter in the program's Properties panel. On both these tweened keys, change the cursor numbering to 1 to get the normal arrow cursor here. This arrow is placed on the bold's B letter on the last key. Press F6 on this arrow layer, and just below it, press F7 on the current image layer. Get the previous image frame and place it on the alternate image layer. On this new image key, change the image numbering to 29. We see the B letter selected in this image. So, change the cursor numbering to 2 for the hand cursor. For the next screenshot, press F7 on the image layer and drag the preceding image frame on the alternate image layer. Extend the frame duration and change the image numbering to 30. In this screenshot, the total amount 86,300 is seen in bold, but the click on this B is missing. Let's add it. Add a new keyframe on the arrow layer at 1214 and a blank keyframe at 1200. Now duplicate this 1199th frame and place it on the alternate arrow_02 layer just above the blank keyframe. Press F7 on the 1214th frame. On these new arrow frames, change the cursor numbering to 3 to get the clicking hand above the B letter. Now, the click amount goes bold on screen. Once the click is done, the cursor should again change to the normal arrow cursor. So, on the 1214th arrow frame, change the cursor numbering to 1. Extend the frames at the end. Now, according to the screenshots, we will save the program file at a desired folder path. So, let's start with it. Press F6 and insert keyframes on the arrow_01 layer at frames 1234 and 1246. Right-click and assign Motion Tween between these frames. On the second keyframe, shift this arrow over the Office button at the top left corner of the program file. Extend some more frames and insert a keyframe at frame 1274 of the same layer as seen in the video. On this frame, modify the cursor numbering to 2 to get the hand graphic on the stage. Press F7 on the current image layer and drag the last image frame on the alternate image layer. Extend the frames some more, and here again change the image numbering as per the sequence, that is 31. In this new image, the Office button's color is changed. Insert one more keyframe on the image layer at some frame duration, and then shift this keyframe on the alternate image layer. Press F7 on the previous image layer. On the current image layer, change the image numbering to 32. In this screenshot, we see a description panel for the Office button. Instead of a sudden display, we will make this appearing on screen. For that, insert one more keyframe on the image layer and create Motion Tween between these keys. Grab the first key out of the two, and from the Properties panel, apply 0 alpha to it. Now we can see the image transition, and it feels like the panel appearing on screen. Next we will show a click over the same Office button. So, on the arrow layers 1330th and 1321st frames, insert new keyframes. Drag the 1321st key on the above alternate arrow layer and press F7 on frame 1330. Also create a blank keyframe on 1321st frame of the arrow_01 layer. These are the frames to show a click over that button. So, change its numbering to 3 and an animated click hand symbol comes. After this click, again the normal arrow graphic should be displayed on stage. So, on this last frame, change the cursor single frame numbering to 1. Exactly below this key, insert a blank keyframe for the image and drag the preceding image frame on the alternate image layer. On these new frames, vary the image numbering to 33. Here, the screenshot changes and the additional Office buttons options are now visible. Now, as decided, we need to reach the Save option out of them. So, create two new keyframes on the arrow_01 layer. Right-click and apply motion tween between these keys. On the last key, move the cursor over the Save icon. Adjust the frame duration. Again, this Save icon will also be seen selected and then clicked. So we need some more keys for cursor actions. On the arrow_01 layer, insert a new key and on it, change the cursor single frame numbering to 2. Here comes the hand graphic. Exactly parallel to this key, create a blank keyframe on the current image layer and drag its previous key on the alternate image layer. Adjust and extend the frames as well. On this new image frames, vary the image numbering to 34 and the Save option gets indicated in a different color. Now again we will need a clicking hand symbol above this option. So, insert two new keyframes on this arrow_01 layer at frame 1399 and 1410. Delete those middle frames and drag the previous 1398th frame on the arrow's alternate arrow_02 layer. Press F7 on its 1410th frame. On these frames, vary the cursor's numbering to 3 to get the click symbol over the Save option. On screen, we notice the different hand cursor with a red ring. After a click, both the image and the cursor change will take place. Extend the frames and change these frames' cursor numbering to 1. We get a normal arrow cursor. Exactly below that key, press F7 for the image layer and copy the preceding key on the alternate image layer. Press F5 to extend the frame duration here. On these image frames, modify the single frame number to 35. In this screenshot, a small Save Ctrl+S such description is visible closer to the Save option. So, we are editing some of the key positions here. We pushed ahead this click hand frames. And to make this description appear on stage, we are using motion tween between the keys of this last image's keyframes. On its last key, now apply 0 alpha value. This made that small description box appear on stage. Adjust the frame durations. Now the actual click on the Save option will take place. Press F6 exactly below the last blank keyframe of the click cursor frames. Also, press F7 on the 1430th frame of the arrow_01 layer. The click hand cursor remains at the same location. Just the timings are changed. On the current image layer, press F7 at the 1441st frame and drag its preceding frame on the alternate image layer. On this new key, vary the image numbering to 36. So, this new screenshot brings a new Save As dialog box on screen. Zoom out to view the complete dialog box. This is to save the program file at a desired path with a particular file name. On parallel cursor frames, change its numbering to 1 to get a normal arrow cursor here. As a dialog box enters the screen, the hand cursor changes to the arrow cursor. On this arrow layer, create two new keyframes at frames 1448 and 1462. Assign motion tween between those keys, and on this second key, shift the cursor towards the dialog box over the file name's Book 3 text. This Book 3 is the default name given by the program to this file, which we show so that we can rename it with another name. So, the cursor is already moved over the text area. To rename it, we need to show first the typing state of the cursor. Insert a new keyframe on the arrow_01 layer and change the cursor numbering to 5. Zoom in to view which cursor we got. And this is the correct arrow graphic on this key. Now press F6 to insert a keyframe on the image layer and drag it on the other alternate image layer. At the same position, insert a blank keyframe on the previous image layer. On the new key, vary the image numbering to 37. Here, the file name text field goes blank. That means to start typing in that field, we need a different typing cursor on stage. Insert one more keyframe on the arrow_01 layer and here change the cursor single frame numbering to 4. This is the same cursor graphic which was also used during the typing on the sheet. Shift this typing cursor at the start of the text field. Here, the next image change will take place. Press F7 on the current image layer and drag the preceding image frame on the alternate image layer. Extend the frames and modify the image sequence number to 38. Here comes the text project_details, which is already typed as a file name. This is the name which we will show being typed on screen. We have to use the same procedure as we did for the earlier 6 texts. But in this case, we will need just one patch area to cover the text. Create a blank keyframe on the patch_02 layer. We are placing the typing cursor before the letter P. And select the rectangle tool from Tools. Draw a white rectangle above the project_details text to cover it completely. Key by key, we will edit the patch rectangle using the subselection tool, and on every key, the cursor placing will also be shifted ahead of the visible letter. Please study the video carefully to understand this clearly. Keyframe intervals on both the arrow and the patch layer will stay the same till we complete the text typing effect. Now when we play it, it seems like being typed on screen. Extend the frames. The text typing effect is done. This file will be saved with this name. Now on the image layer, insert two keyframes at frames 1836 and 1853. Create motion tween between these keys, and on the second key, shift the image on stage towards the left. Shift the image to bring this Save As dialog box completely inside the mask area. Also, insert a keyframe on the arrow_01 layer at the 1835th frame. On this frame, change the cursor numbering to 5 to get the previous typing cursor graphic over that text field. This cursor graphic is always used over the text field before and after typing. Here, after the image movement, insert two more keyframes on the arrow_01 layer. Now, to save the file, the cursor will be shifted over the Save button at the right bottom of this dialog box. Before that, on this 1854th frame, change the cursor numbering to 1 to get the normal arrow graphic on screen. Change the numbering on the last cursor key as well. Both are turned to normal arrow cursors. In between these keys, right-click and create motion tween. On this last keyframe, shift the arrow cursor exactly above the Save button. Now, the next screenshot should come on stage. So on the image layer, press F6 to insert a keyframe. Drag this key on the alternate image_01 layer, and at the same frame number, insert a blank keyframe on the above image_02 layer. On this image_01 new key, vary the image single frame numbering to 39. Here, the Save button changes its colors as detected by the cursor. Extend the frames in the timeline. Exactly above the image key, insert a keyframe on the arrow_01 layer. On this key, modify the cursor numbering to 2, and we see a hand graphic over this Save button. Next, the click on this button will be shown. So, insert one more keyframe on the arrow_01 layer and shift this key on the alternate arrow_02 layer. On the same frame location, insert a blank keyframe on the previous arrow_01 layer. On this arrow_02 frames, vary the cursor numbering to 3 to get the clicking hand graphic. Duplicate the 1902nd frame of the arrow_01 layer and paste it on the 1913th frame of the same layer. So, only the click hand cursor symbol frame remains on the arrow_02 layer. On its 1913th frame, press F7 to create a blank key frame. On this new arrow_01 layer frames, change the cursor numbering to 1. After a click, we always presented the normal arrow graphic. Coming to image layers, press F7 on the current image layer and drag its previous frame on the alternate image_02 layer. From the Properties panel, change the image numbering to 40. The 40th screenshot comes up and the Save As dialog box is gone. We see a normal saved Excel sheet page on screen. Now, according to the rest of the screenshots, this program will be closed. So, let's move ahead with that. Insert two new keyframes on the current arrow_01 layer. Right-click to create motion tween between these keys. On this last key, shift the arrow cursor over Office button at top left of the program. As we found the Save option in the Office button menu, we will also find the Exit option. So, some steps of the earlier Save options will be repeated here. Insert one more key on the arrow layer and change the cursor numbering to 2. This shows the hand cursor on screen. Now on the image layer, press F7 to create a blank key frame, and its preceding frame is duplicated on the alternate image_01 layer. Vary its image single frame numbering to 41. That office button gets selected and changes color. Extend the frames and also the frame duration between the keys. On the image layer, press F6 and shift that key on the alternate image_02 layer. Press F7 on the previous image layer. On the new image layer, insert one more key. Create motion tween between these keys. Apply 0 alpha on the first key and on both keys change the image numberings to 42. The small office button description panel seems to be appearing on stage. Extend the frames. Next will be the click on that same button. Press F7 on the arrow_01 layer and drag the previous arrow frame on the arrow_02 layer. After some frame duration, press F7 for this layer too. Press F5 to extend the frames. On this arrow_02 layer frames, change the cursor single frame numbering to 3 to get the animated click symbol on this button. On screen, we notice the hand change. After a click, we need the cursor back to the normal arrow cursor. So, here, change the cursor numbering to 1. After a click along with the cursor change, the image change will also take place. So let's do it. On the current image layer, press F7 to insert a blank keyframe and its preceding is duplicated on the image_01 layer exactly below the blank keyframe. On these frames, change the image numbering to 43. The Office button's options are seen again. Out of these options, we need to reach the Exit Excel option at the bottom right corner. Press F5 to extend all the frames. Then, insert two new keyframes on the arrow_01 layer. Right-click and assign motion tween between these keys. On the tweened second key, shift the arrow over the Exit Excel option. When the cursor detects the option, it will be changed to the hand cursor over it. So, insert one more key on the same arrow layer and change the cursor numbering to 2. In parallel, the image change will also take place. So, on the current image layer, press F7 to create a blank keyframe. And drag the preceding frame on the alternate image layer. On these frames, vary the image numbering to 44. So, here comes the 44th, that is, second last screenshot on stage. This screenshot indicates the Exit Excel option in yellow. Next, on the arrow_01 layer, press F6. On this key, modify the cursor numbering to 1 for the arrow graphic. On its earlier frames, press F7 for a blank keyframe. Drag its preceding hand cursor on the alternate image_02 layer and press F7 on its 1732nd frame. On these above cursor frames, modify the cursor numbering from the Properties panel to 3. So, we get the animated click hand symbol here. Now, on the image_02 layer, press F7 and as always, drag the preceding frame on its alternate image_01 layer. On these frames, change the image numbering to 45. The 45th is the last screenshot to be placed on stage. Extend the frames in the timeline. Insert two more keyframes on the image layer and on the last key, shift the image to take the Start taskbar inside the mask area. Create motion tween between these keyframes. Extend the frames and zoom out to have an overall look on the stage. Let's have a look at the complete simulation assignment from the very first keyframe in the timeline. Using the different states of the cursors and the number of screenshots, we developed working of a program in Flash. In simulation, always take care that the sequence of the screenshots are properly placed. Now, hit Ctrl plus Enter to preview the SWF. This seems like a full demo version of Microsoft Excel. Even the typing effect is worked out properly. Using the same techniques, you can create such simulation videos to demonstrate the functioning of any program using Flash. We used two types of animation, that is, frame-by-frame animation for the typing effect and Tween animation to make the description panel appear on screen. The sequencing of the screenshot bitmaps on the successive keyframes is well organized. Once you understand the technique, such simulation videos are easy to make and can be effective learning tools. Hope this video will clarify all points about creating simulations in Flash. So, try creating more of such simulations to understand things better. Aroha Media wishes you all the best. Thank you.